G'day everybody, Where's Wally here. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. We're back to playing with Dim Dim. Well, Antonio saw red today when Reds Rhetoric and Antonio Live captured and streamed the ISS pass in real time. Antonio thought there had to be glitches, so he went looking. So let's go and see if he's right for once or wrong again as usual.
Okay, the footage starts with the azimuth at 234 degrees. That means with the north behind you and the south in front of you, 234 would be to your right and north. Okay, just slightly to the north. That azimuth is a bearing system. It's pretty simple. Okay, so 234, I'm going to jump to the point where this footage goes very, very freaky, but I'll show you how freaky it goes, to here. Okay. Now I'm going to show you, this is 247. We started at 234, now 247. If Reds is watching this, he might start to see the problem. And some of you might start to see the problem. And Loki, come on. The next part, I'm going to just first glitch. Okay, now it takes about approximately 5 minutes for the ISS to go from appearing at the horizon, wherever it is that it appears at your horizon, not necessarily directly to your west. Okay, it goes from west to east across the sky. Okay, I know some of the globlings are starting to see the problem. It goes from west to east. That's how it crosses the sky.
Well, Antonio, you're right. From your point of view, the ISS moves from west to east when you're in England, but for most other places it usually moves at a bit of an angle. Here in Australia, it's usually going northwest to southeast or southeast to northwest, and it's pretty much the same for Florida. So, Antonio, Stockport is what, 53 degrees north, and the ISS is at 51.6 inclination, so it never ever goes north of you, does it, Antonio?
I don't know. For its orientation to the observer to remain the same is a bit peculiar. I will show you this with the whiteboard and with some lovely new pens that I have.
Yeah, Red did make note of the fact the orientation was changing. He said that the panels were becoming knife edge to these telescopes, so they actually changed the exposure a couple of times to try and view the body of the ISS better.
So I'm going to go back just in stages to show you that the orientation of the ISS doesn't change. It doesn't turn. It doesn't do anything. It just stays static. It's like, interesting. So first, it should rotate somewhat. You know, update NASA, boys. It should rotate somewhat and turn on the vertical axis. Okay, so it should rotate on a horizontal axis and turn on a vertical axis. Do you understand?
So Reds and Astronomy Live nailed it again in real life. And the ISS didn't stay in just one orientation, did it?
I don't know.
So what I did do that Antonio didn't do is grab some stills from the video and put them all side by side, and now it's really easy to see. Can you see that they look different, Antonio?
I don't know.
Can you see that the solar panels are thinner, like knife edge on?
I don't know.
You can see that the orientation is changing now, can't you?
I don't know.
So, glitch denied again?
I don't know. Yes, that's right. Now we're going to look at some ISS trackers, because you can track the ISS live. So we're going to look at live ISS trackers. First, I nearly gave the game away. We will come back to that. So this is the ISS tracker. Here's the ISS. Okay. Wonderful. Let's look at another ISS tracker. Oh dear. It looks like it's a bit further west on the second ISS tracker. Let's look at, what's this? Oh, and here it's interesting. We're just comparing 3 ISS trackers, live ISS trackers, and none of them match. Why the discrepancy? And other Realists and other pondlings have shown this before. This was shown years and years ago.
So now as far as the other glitch, let's have a look. So each tracker software downloads the TLE data, that's the two-line element data. Now, if they have an older version of that data, their position can be different. And if their clock is wrong, their position can be different. The glitch is most likely just a TLE data version error. Now, I tested 3 different sites. I think these were the same ones you used on my computer. And I also added my own personal ISS tracker. I've made this one myself. So a bit like Astronomy Live like that. Now, the ESA one is the one that is off still. This is a couple of days after you did it. So my bet is that their TLE data is stale. Something's going wrong with their server. Their web server is not feeding the data from probably Celestrak. Now, my TLE data, as you can see here in the top corner, is only 0.2 of a day old. And my software automatically gets this data from Celestrak. My little gadget is so spot on. It's been running for about 3 or 4 years now, and every time I look at it and it says that there's a ISS passing over outside, and I go outside and there it is, right up there in the sky. Glitch denied again.
But the azimuth, there's a problem with the azimuth. Now it's at 247. Let me zoom in. 242. We started at 234. So let's go back to around here. And it's around 234. Yep. Okay. Here's Mooncalc. And this is just to help illustrate the azimuth. So it's now at 234. I'm now going to scroll to 242. Okay. Watch very carefully. 242. Which way? Let's imagine that what's being tracked is the ISS. Did it move to the east or did it move to the west? That's a problem. You see, the ISS trackers have it moving to the east on the azimuth. Oopsie daisies, that's a problem. I suppose astronomers use inverted azimuth when they need to because the world doesn't actually correspond to the real world, so they just, we invert it.
Well, Antonio, the azimuth does change that way. Antonio, what if the ISS was at a higher latitude than where you're currently standing on the globe and it passed above you, to the north of you?
I don't know.
What if the ISS passed to the west and to the north of their position?
I don't know.
Here, have a look at this, Antonio. See that red cross? That shows just where Reds Rhetoric and Astronomy Live were recording from. And you can see the ISS track beside it there with the green arrow. So the ISS was moving west to east as it's supposed to, and it passed northwest of their position. So, Antonio, guru of gurus, what do you think the azimuth angle would be doing in this situation?
I don't know.
So, do you understand that?
I don't know.
So no inverted azimuths were needed, were they?
I don't know. We're going towards Perth. Wolfie, get your camera out.
Oh, but Antonio, before we finish up here, now that we've finished slapping you around a bit, have a look at Joss Lee's. Now, he has done this brilliant little animation, and it shows you this is what the ISS looks like, as we saw it just here before. And then, of course, if you wrap that around a flat Earth, I mean, spread it like tomato sauce on a pizza Earth, it looks like this. And the problem with that is the ISS has to slow down and speed up and spend more time below the equator than above, and it really just doesn't work on the pizza Earth. But of course, Joss Lee then very kindly wraps it around a proper ball Earth and everything is all good again. Interesting. But I did want to say that Wade's Underworld, Ruhif and myself, where's Wally, we all got together a few months ago and we had an ISS pass. It was almost the transit of the moon, but none of us could be bothered moving to get close enough to get right underneath it. So it went right past the moon, really quite close. So what we did was we did some timings and we got some really accurate times to when the ISS passed by the moon at each location. Oh hell, look, I'll just mirror it at the end of this and you guys can go and have a look and see just how good we were. Actually, we were pretty rubbish at it. It was our first go, but we all said we'd do better next time. So while you're watching this beautiful piece of footage, why don't you go and give Wade's Underworld or Ruahif a sub? They're both really good guys. Oh, and Reds Rhetoric and Astronomy Live covered all this in a massive 2-hour live stream. So if you want to look at that as well, the link is in the description, as well as the link to my other video, and probably links to every other thing as well. Thanks, guys. G'day everybody, where's Wally here. One thing that flatties hate more than gravity is the ISS. Yes, let's face it, the ISS is the simplest globe proof out there, quite literally. Anyway, flatties don't even try to check and measure things, we all know that. They do make wild claims like the ISS is a drone or it's a high altitude balloon. Well, the problem for flatties is who all dismiss the ISS, well, we all know why they dismiss it. The problem is that the speed of the thing and the precision of the timings pretty much shows it can't be anything else but a spaceship. Initially, we were going to try and get some transits of the ISS across the moon around 5:40 p.m, but that just didn't work out for the observers in the transit zone. So we decided we would go and do some just near passes anyway. Luckily for me, Ruahif, Wade's Underworld, and Where's Wally, that's me, we were all able to do the same thing on the 13th of July 2019. We all just pointed a camera at the ISS as it passed really close to the moon and Jupiter, and we videoed it. And we also dialed 1194, which in Australia gives you the talking clock, and you put that on speakerphone, hold it beside your video camera, and bingo, you've now got an audio timestamp. So, and then that thing's really accurate, so less than 1 second, so that was good.
At the third stroke, it will be 5:38 and 50 seconds. At the third stroke, it will be 5:39 precisely.
There we go, and the freaking battery ran out on my other camera just before it got here.
Well, Ruahif, he's in Sydney, he saw it first. Wade's Underworld, he's at Nelson Bay, he saw it next. Where's Wally? Well, that's me. I'm in Brisbane, and then I saw it last. And this is all very much a first go at this for us, so it's a bit rough, and we certainly will admit we can do a lot better, but it's still much better than any flatties I've ever tried to do. Well, Ruahif, he said he would have pulled back on the zoom a little bit more and tripod mounted it so it wasn't wobbly all over the place. Wade, he would have made sure he had a battery that wasn't flat so it didn't shut down literally 2 seconds before the close approach. And I would have pointed my GoPro actually towards the moon rather than halfway away from it, and would have actually got a full and wider view of it. I just did think the field of view was much wider than that. Anyway, I placed it outside and come back and to see what I got. Anyway, I can work from it. I got a few pixels in there so I can count those and work out pretty much roughly where it was. So what does all this show? Well, we have 3 data points in time and space. I won't dox us wolfpackers, but here is the distances and the times. The distances are calculated using latitudes and longitudes, and I cross-check those with Google Maps distance tool, and it will pretty much work out. And the times, well, they're all taken from the 3 different videos, and I'm taking it as when the ISS crossed a line drawn through the moon and Jupiter. So that should be a fairly consistent time spot. Okay, Ruahif was the start point at 17:38:36. Wade was the midpoint 19 seconds later at 17:38:55. And Where's Wally was the final point 110 seconds after Ruhif at 17:40:26. Well, using the distances and times, we were able to calculate the speeds, and we were certainly very close to it for Ruhif and Wade, who were both very close to the transit line. Mine was a little bit off because I was quite away from the transit line, and that seems to have dropped my calculated speed a little bit though, although I'm still right in the ballpark. So flatties, the two big findings are: one, the ISS is always on time. No plane has the same sort of sub-second accuracy and predictability that the ISS has. And two, the ISS is fast, very fast. Faster than a walk in the park, faster than a jet plane, and it's certainly even faster than the fastest commercial .22 Swift bullet, which is 1,400 meters per second. This is like 7 or 8 times faster than that. And then that bullet can only go for like a kilometer because the air resistance slows it down. So ain't nothing like that going on. So basically no plane or anything within the atmosphere can move that fast for that length of time and with that predictability. So if any flatties think we're wrong in saying this shows that there is the ISS is indeed there and real and not fake, you're welcome to go and repeat what we've done. You only need 2 people, 100 kilometers apart, 2 cameras. Go on, go and measure it, guys. Don't trust your senses.